Hey everybody, Blugoblin here on my blugoblinX channel for another main comic book review from my friends and family at Arkham Comics. Before I get started, I just want to remind y'all that if you're watching this, then go by my main channel, Blugoblin01, where I just reviewed a whole stack of books from Midtown Comics, courtesy of Midtown Comics and my student, my bro, my friend, TheMtVernonKid. Go check that out. That is, if it's uploaded. Well, and don't forget to subscribe while you're at it. Subscribe here too. I got a big stack here. Now, keep in mind, there are still a few books that I haven't got yet. I didn't get Astonishing X-Men. I didn't get Scarlet Spider. And I still haven't gotten the Batman and Detective Comics annuals. The reason? I ran out of money. That's right, I'm broke. As of right now, I probably got $2 to my name until I get my next paycheck. So, bills, you know what I'm saying? But enough about that. You want me to review comic books? All right. We're going to start with Marvel, go through Independent, and end on DC. Alright, we're going to start with Marvel. We're going to start with The Fearless Defenders, issue number 8. Yeah, issue 8. Cullen Bunn. Now, as I said when I reviewed issue 7, I said, you know, Cullen Bunn, very well played. Very well played. Now, the first thing I want to bring y'all's attention to is that the beginning page, you know, the summary page at the beginning of the book, talked about Annabelle's death, and it mentions the fact that a lot of people on specifically on Tumblr, was really upset about it, including a very good friend of mine. She thought it was insulting to take the one character out of all these ladies, take the one gay character and kill her off. They found that very insulting. You know, and you know what? It actually kind of was. Whether, you know, Cullen Bunn or Marvel wants to admit it or not, it was kind of a big to the gay community to kill off the one gay character. It was kind of insulting. Whether you choose to believe that or not, Mr. Bunn, you know, that's basically irrelevant. But it did come off that way. Cullen Bunn basically had to get on social media and tell everybody, hey, calm down. Once you continue reading the series, and I promise you, it's not going to be a homophobic slur. Don't worry about it, you know. And I stuck with it. I even talked to him about it on Twitter. Yeah, he actually talked back to me about this. He said it wasn't meant to be homophobic. It was meant to get more focus. He actually told me it wasn't a homophobic move to kill off Annabelle. It was done as, you know, it wasn't really done for shock value either. He told me he did it to get even more spotlight on her, and he did it because he knew it was gonna get people's attention, because a lot of people in the comic book industry would rather piss off the fans than get no reaction at all. If you're not getting a reaction at all from the customers, then you got a problem. But he told me that it was going to help give her more spotlight and progress her character further. Now he told me that, but he also told me that he also didn't spoil what was going to happen, and I commend him for it. But once I read issue 7, I said, well played. And in here, we're getting more of that. This is good stuff. You know, Valkyrie's got a new look, and I think I said when I reviewed issue 7 that Annabelle is the new Valkyrie. I was wrong. I was only half right. It turns out the deal that was made to resurrect Annabelle came at a price. Now, Annabelle and Valkyrie, they're not the same person, but they have to share the body. It's like Annabelle in here. I'll go ahead and spoil this little plot point. But in the series now, I don't know how well you can see that, but all Annabelle has to do is concentrate, and she has the ability to transform into Valkyrie. And that's basically a body swap. You know, they're not the same person, but they switch places in reality, I guess. They say it's sharing a body. And, you know, and the storytelling that we get in here is very well done. And there's a moment in here where Annabelle actually uses her ability, her talent, in her own way. Now, I'm not going to spoil what she actually does, the action she does, but the reason why is to keep Valkyrie from crossing that line again. The same line that she crossed when Annabelle got killed. And I thought that was very well done. The rest of the stuff in here was very solid action-packed stuff. It's just basically Valkyrie, Annabelle, and Misty working with another lady to take down some scientifically grown brood, and the parts with Caroline DeFay in here at the end of the book was just really did a good job with developing her character as a complete bitch. Loved it. This was good stuff. Doesn't really end so much on a cliffhanger, but this was a solid one-and-done story, and you know, that gets us familiar with the concept that Annabelle and Valkyrie are now sharing a body. That was the price Valkyrie paid to resurrect Annabelle. And Mr. Bunn, I will say this again, very well played. Okay, you got me. You actually stopped me from dropping this series. All in all, I'll say, good job. Good stuff. Over. There we go. Okay, moving on here. Infinity, number 1 of 6. Okay, I'm probably not going to share the same opinion as a lot of other people because I never read any of the preludes. The only thing I'm reading is Thanos Rising. Everything else associated with Infinity, I haven't seen. I haven't looked at it. I don't think I will. You know, I was just excited at the mere thought of Marvel giving us a big event where there's a clear-cut villain. It's not good guys versus good guys. I too, like my student, my friend, my bro Chris, the TheMtVernonKid, he's even said it. Just ask him, he'll tell you. We're getting burned out on this good guys versus good guys shit. We want an event where there is a absolutely 100% uncut, I mean just clear, straight out villain making a threat to all the good guys in the Marvel Universe. And with this, we're off to a good start. Now, I wouldn't be me if I wasn't brutally honest. Why the fuck do we have to get a $5 price tag? And I instantly thought to myself, I may have to change my mind about this series if every issue... I haven't looked at the solicits yet. But if every issue is going to be $5, I'm going to seriously reconsider getting this series because I'm not rich. I got enough problems with $5 books. And you know, I would see pages like this. It's just a blank page with a few words on it. Not to mention, hang on, let me find it. Not to mention 2-page spreads just telling us who worked on the damn book. Now, normally I would bitch and complain about that, but the book is large enough and there's plenty of enough storytelling in here to where I'll give it a pass. Okay, I'll give it a pass. But what we got in here was just solid stuff. This was really good, considering the fact that I have not read any of the preludes, and I'm really not going to be interested in any of the tie-ins, everything. 'Cause I don't really get Avengers comic books. I don't get new Avengers because I find it really difficult to get on board with Avengers titles, because it seems like to me here lately they don't stick around long enough. Once they reach a certain number, they cancel the series and then relaunch it with a new number one. It is so difficult to keep up with Avengers titles. You know, it's like I'm even having a serious problem believing that Uncanny Avengers is even going to last past issue number 50, if it even makes it that far. You know, it's like Marvel just doesn't have much faith in Avengers or New Avengers or Mighty Avengers. It just seems like when the series starts getting really hot, for some dumb fuck reason, they'll give it a final issue and then relaunch it a month later with another number one. It's like Marvel really burned me out on Avengers books, because they relaunched the series and the titles so many fucking times. I'm starting to think to myself, what's the goddamn point? That's just honestly how I feel about Avengers titles right now. Maybe I'll change my mind later on down the road and start reading them again. But for right now, I'm just saying I'm done with Avengers titles. I'll just let people tell me what's going on, or I'll glance at it, in the store and, share my thoughts on it, maybe with somebody I know or something like that. But I only have so much money, and I'm not going to ask Chris to send me Avengers titles from Midtown Comics, because, see my last comment about relaunching the series over and over and over again. But enough about that. Let's talk about this. Jonathan Hickman does the main writing. This was good. This was very good. The exposition in here leading up to the arrival of Thanos in this book was very nicely done. Jim Chung's artwork was good. The Avengers in here take a bold step in their first plan to against Thanos and everything. But my personal favorite part of this book was the stuff with Black Bolt. I've always been a mark for Black Bolt. This was really great stuff. And this is one of those few times where Jonathan Hickman writes a story that takes place mostly in outer space that didn't really bore me in the end. I mean, his stuff with Fantastic Four run, where they would go to space and deal with cosmic this and cosmic that, it honestly kind of bored me. The last time I'm being honest. The last time I saw Jonathan Hickman write anything associated with the Inhumans or Black Bolt, it bored the shit out of me. But here, he nails it. This is good stuff. I mean, was it perfect? Hell no. But for what it was, I did enjoy it. Now, like I said, if every issue is going to be $5, I'm not guaranteeing that I'll stop reading it, but I will seriously consider saying, you know what, fuck it. Because every issue being $5 would be a fail in my eyes from Marvel. Just another excuse to take more of your money. But as the beginning of a story in which we have a big event with a clear-cut villain, I really loved it. This was good stuff. And I'm not going to spoil everything that happens in here. But what I will say is, if you're interested in getting Infinity, I would personally recommend jumping on and giving the first issue a try. If you're willing to spend $5, then I'd say this is a $5 worth paying and worth reading. This was very nicely done. But I will say one thing. I loved the last page. And that's all I'm going to say. This was good. This was good despite all my bitching and griping. Okay. Moving on to Uncanny X-Men number 10. Brian Michael Bendis. Man, I tell you, you're still killing it with your X-Men consistency. However, like I said, I'm brutally honest. Fraser Irving. Oh my god, this artwork sucks. Oh my god, I hated the interior artwork. I hated it. It was bad. Now, granted, like I said, there are worse artists out here, but this is just my personal, honest opinion. I hated the artwork. I really did. Everybody, even the teenagers, they look fucking old. I mean, Scott Summers looks like he's damn near in his late 50s, early 60s. The teenage X-Men, the teenage recruits they bring in look like they're in their 20s. I mean, everybody looks way older than they should be. It is laughably bad. I can't stand it. It is so... And it looks so faded. It looks so droll. It looks so dull. I mean, it looks so pastel-like. I mean, what the fuck was this? This artwork is terrible. Now, the storytelling was good. The storytelling saved it. Very good. Scott is trying to keep up this facade that he's some sort of mutant savior, when in actuality he's a fucking murderous dick. I'm still waiting for a story in which Scott finally answers for the murder of Charles Xavier. He even says in this book, yeah, I killed him, but we're trying to preserve his dream. He actually, he says he killed Charles Xavier, but he's not willing to pay for it. He's not willing to answer for it, because he came close to having to answer for it, but decided that life wasn't for him, so he's like, fuck it, I'm going to break out of prison, form my own X-Men, and basically become Magneto. Some fans can say Cyclops was right all they want, and that's their business. But in my opinion, he's a dick. He's a murderer, and he's a dick and a hypocrite. Why are you teaching mutants how to use their powers when you basically have to teach yourself all over again? This is why I like this series, because Bendis, I really believe that he is inadvertently writing this series to try and paint the picture. Yeah, he's a villain now. And I will believe that. Until he answers for what he's done, for his actions, for what he's doing now, I will continue to refer to adult Cyclops as a villain. He is a villain. He killed his mentor, his father figure, and he admits it, but he refuses to pay for it. He refuses to answer for it. What's his response to people calling him out for murdering Xavier? I'm the mutant savior. I'm going to save mutant kind. Magneto said the same shit back in the 1960s. This is nothing new. It's basically Scott being Magneto. This is what it is. But, despite all my griping, I will say that Bendis did do a good job of writing the story that way. Because even though I don't like Cyclops now, Bendis keeps the storytelling very interesting. The cliffhanger was a really big uh-oh kind of cliffhanger, and I'm interested in where they go from this. But what I will say is, fuck you, Cyclops. You're a dick, and you're a murderer. You may have been right, you may not have been right. Regardless of that, you're a dick. Fuck you. Bendis, thank you. This was good. This was a good read. Alright, moving on. Wolverine and the X-Men, number 34. This is part 4 of the Hellfire Saga. Jason Aaron and Nick Bradshaw. I actually like Nick Bradshaw's artwork in here for the most part, But what this basically is the X-Men fighting back. They find the Hellfire Academy, and it's time to kick some ass. This is action upon action upon action upon action. Fights, 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 fights. One of my personal favorite parts of this issue was Iceman and what he does with his powers in this particular issue. Fan-fucking-tastic. This was good. And I loved the dialogue between him and Kitty. It was funny. I'll go ahead and spoil what Kitty says. Let me get to it here. Shit. She's like, come on, Bobby. kick them in the volcanoes and I'll let you get to second base. He goes, doesn't count if you're phased. Basically, win this fight and you'll get some boob. This was good. This was really good. But I honestly think little Cade Kilgore here, the Hellfire King, the Black King of the Hellfire Club now, I think he's starting to lose it up here. I mean, the shit that he goes through, but that's not saying much because the rest of the Hellfire Club is just as fucking batshit crazy as he is. Especially the blonde girl. It's like the shit she says in here. Hell, the shit she said most of her existence in the Marvel Universe has been really disturbing. It's like, is he awake? Is he dead? Is he alive? Let's pull his fingernails off and make sure he's alive. He's like, I'm alive, I'm alive. I don't want to pull his fingernails off anyway. I mean, she is probably one of the most disturbingly creepy blonde... let me see if I can say this right. She has got to be one of the most disturbingly creepy characters I've seen in the X-Men mythos in quite a long time. But, as I said, the rest of the book, this was solid. It was great. I loved the action. I loved the dialogue. The characters were all done very well. A couple of great moments in here, especially from Quentin Quire in here, was very, very well done too. I really can't honestly complain. I mean, Jason Aaron is no slouch to a good book like this. This was good stuff. I loved it. Alright, we're gonna go to Independent with Dynamite with part 1 of our double shot of Gail Simone goodness. We're going to Red Sonja number 2. Gail actually told me that I was gonna love this issue. Gail, you were right. I did like this. I liked it a lot. This was good. Wow. I gotta say, I love that cover. That cover's just, it's so simple, but it's great. This is good stuff. I'm gonna try my best not to spoil everything, but what I will say is there's some very gruesome fights, some really gruesome moments in here. And I'll say this, I wouldn't want to be on a horseback duel with Red Sonja. Let me just say that. But the girl that she's fighting, Dark Anisia, or Anisia, Anisia. I don't know how I would pronounce that name. Anisia. Anisha. I'll say it. Anisha. That's how I'll say it. But Sonja, has her duel with Anisha in here, and throughout the fight, we're getting some more and more gruesome moments, and we're finally about to get to the climax of the fight between Sonja and Anisha. And during this issue, we get to see more and more. We backtrack a bit in the time. We backtrack a little bit in time to see how these two knew each other in the past and everything. It was very well done to see the shit that they had to go through to get where we are now. But toward the climax of the fight, Anisha reveals something to Sonja that completely blindsides her. Reveals a fact about Sonja. And then Sonja does something that I didn't think I would ever see. And those are the moments that lead up to the conclusion of the conclusion of this issue. What I will say is, Anisha reveals a secret about Sonja, something she didn't know, and then Sonja, like I said, Sonja does something I didn't think I would ever see her do. But considering the reasons for doing it, I understand. But this was really good. Gail assured me herself that it would be a good issue, and I will say, Gail, I thank you. This was good. You were right. Very well done. Solid read. I really enjoyed it. Not to mention the great artwork from Walter Giovanni. Awesome stuff. Loved it. I can't wait for the rest of the series to start flowing through. I can't get enough of it. I'm glad I got on board. Now for the second part of our double shot of Gail Simone goodness, we're going to the pick of the week. The pick of the week goes to Batgirl number 23. I am a fanboy. Don't you forget it. Damn it. Gail, once again, I thank you. This was so good. This is part 1 of Batgirl Wanted. How would you picture this? Gotham City, 2013. You're a vigilante. You're a costume vigilante. You're going around fighting crime. You are well known as one of the many partners of one of the greatest heroes of all time. And imagine yourself being hunted down by your own father. Yeah. Now, I could nitpick here and there about how Barbara really shouldn't believe that James Gordon Jr. isn't really dead and everything. I could go on to that, but the storytelling in here was so good, I'm just going to let it all pass and just enjoy it. This was so good. I couldn't get enough of this. This is the first time we actually see Barbara work and do what she does best without the Batgirl costume. And wow, this was so good. This was so good. And it wasn't just her that shined in here. Her father, James Gordon, he shined very well. Excuse me. I mean, everybody that was done in this issue was done so well. Nightfall and her lackeys. You know, Jim was done very well. Barbara was done very well. And we get to find out that, you know, Barbara finds out some more dark details about her I guess you could say her new boyfriend. They went on a date and I guess they're all cozy and everything, but she learns more things about him, and it all leads up towards the end of the story, and the end of the issue was a really big what the fuck kind of moment. Oh my god. It's like, I knew this was going to be good, but it was even better than I thought it was going to be. All I can say is, Gail, I thank you. 2 good shots in 1 week. They were both great, but this was just a stellar issue. Now, I will be honest, this wasn't the best issue of Batgirl out of your run, but wow, was it. It was close. I mean, this was good. Now, this is a solid beginning into Batgirl Wanted, and it paints a picture that this particular story is going to be nothing short of incredible. But usually I would be worried that we start off strong and then we go down from there, only to give us probably an anticlimactic conclusion. But Gail has never really truly let me down yet. So I will say this, Gail, I trust you. I trust you that you will deliver on the rest of this series. You've never really truly let me down. You've made me maybe nitpick a few things from here and there, but you've never really truly disappointed me yet, and for that, I thank you. I'm really intrigued on where this story can go. This was such a strong and powerful start. you've also got the difficult task of having to top the parts over and over again. It's like the next part may have to top this, and then the next part may have to top that. What kind of story are we going to get here? I don't know. I'm sure as hell interested. Thank you, Gail. This was good. Alright, moving along. We got Batman number 23. Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. I love Scott Snyder. I like Greg Capullo. And y'all know me. I love Batman. But I read this. Now, I didn't read the annual, so I don't know if the annual ties into Zero Year or not. If it does, go ahead and let me know, but don't spoil it, because I still haven't read it yet. But I read this, and I just couldn't help but think of Batman Begins in here. I mean, it's like, I mean, this was a decent read for what it was, but let's be honest, DC. Excuse me. Pardon me. But let's be honest, DC. How many times are we going to have to look at Batman's origin? How many times do we have to go through it? It's like, oh, we got a new status quo. Let's tweak it a little bit. Or let's just flat out retell it. It's like, oh, we reached a landmark number. Let's tell it again. Or let's mention it again. You know, it's like, I mean, anybody who knows anything about Batman should know his origin. His parents got shot. His parents got shot when he was a child. He makes it his life mission to stopping crime. He wants vengeance. He wants to become the Dark Knight. He sees a bat in the window and says, I shall become a bat, which is what happened in here. And I'm like, we've seen this so many fucking times already. We know what's going to happen. I mean, that's what hurts the story. This is the origin of Batman. It's the origin. Big shock. We know what's going to happen. We know Bruce Wayne's going to become Batman. You know, I don't always like it when comic book companies, regardless of if it's Marvel, DC, Dynamite, Dark Horse, IDW, it doesn't matter. It really honestly bothers me when they honestly feel like they have to go back into the past and retell some character's origin, whether it be Batman, whether it be Spider-Man, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Green Lantern, you name the hero. If they had to go back for the 137th fucking time and retell you their goddamn origin, it gets to the point where you're like, we know, enough. You know, I'm sorry about my ranting, but this is how I honestly feel. This was a good read for what it was. It's just that I've seen this so many fucking times. You know, I honestly feel like I don't even have to bother opening the book to know what's gonna fucking happen. That's how it is. Okay, we're gonna move on to Green Lantern Corps, number 23. He can't save them all. Van Jensen does a good job with the writing in here. The Clo plot was done by Robert Venditti. Bernard Chang's artwork in here was very solid. You know, what this issue basically covers is we're trying to dive more and more into the mystery as to why the lantern rings constantly blink out from time to time and basically lose all their power before flipping the switch back on, and all of a sudden they're working again. We're getting more and more into that. You know, a lot of the lanterns, especially, they focus a lot on the greens. It's Green Lantern Corps, duh. But everybody's got so many questions. And Kilowatt goes to Salak and says, hey, do you possibly know anything that's wrong with the rings? Because there's all kinds of possibilities that could have stemmed off from what's going on with their rings. You know, was there a fail-safe in case the Guardians had to go? Or Is there something wrong with was there something wrong when the rings were first created? You know, is there something wrong with the central power batteries and everything? Nobody really knows. But what I will say, and I'm not going to spoil it, is at the end of the book, we get the answer. We get the answer. Now, probably comic book fans who probably keep their eyes glued to the solicits on the internet, they probably already knew what was going on. But I'm one of those old school comic book fans. I just keep up with the stories. I barely ever get on solicitations. I barely ever get on the comic book websites and go 3 or 4 months in advance to find out what's going on next, because sometimes there's a double-edged sword to doing that. When you're a comic book fan, I mean, when you're a hardcore comic book fan, and you get on the internet and you jump like 3 or 4 months in advance for looking at solicitations for upcoming stories, there's a double-edged sword to that, and that's why I barely ever do it. But sometimes you can look at a solicitation for a book and it may spoil what you're reading now. That's why a lot of people were pissed off at One More Day back in 2007, because so many fans got on Marvel's website and looked at solicitations for future Spider-Man stories, and then they automatically knew what was going to happen at the conclusion of that story. You know, that's just one example. Now, do I get on solicitations? Do I look at previews for upcoming stories? Yes, I do. But I don't do it religiously. I barely ever do it. So I think a lot of people may already know what's going on in here. This was solid. This was great. Loved the read. There was a nice tease about... There was a really dramatic tease concerning the Star Sapphire. But I think it's all well and good for now. But I'm really interested in where they can go from here concerning the answer we get as to why the rings are blinking out from time to time. Solid read. I loved it. This was good stuff. Alright. Next up, Suicide Squad number 23. This is Overkill. Alice Cott. A-L-E-S. I probably mispronounced that name and I'm sorry. Rick Leonardi does the penciling. The interior artwork, what I'll say is it's alright. I mean, I've seen a hell of a lot better. Then again, I've seen worse. But, you know, that's all I'll say about the artwork, is that it was alright. It was pretty much it. The writing in here was I'll say the same thing. It was alright. I mean, I wasn't really that stricken with this particular issue. I mean, there were some good moments in here, but nothing really hit me here. It really didn't. I mean, this was just... I love these characters and I love Harley, but this just felt like an average read at best. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but man, it could have been a hell of a lot better. I mean, we get some cheap laughs and some cheap, gruesome moments, but just because a moment is cheap doesn't mean it's bad. But I'm just like, wow, this was just and this was just an average read. I didn't hate it, but then again, I sure as hell didn't love it. I mean, this was alright at best, but all I can say is they really better pick up the pacing with this series, or I might go ahead and get rid of it to save a few bucks. Because, wow, this really did not... I was really not impressed with this issue. They did some more tweaks to King Shark's look, and I liked that. And Harley Quinn's pie moment was probably the best part of the book for me. But the rest of this stuff, I just didn't really care. And again, I didn't hate the book. It was just there. Speaking of just there, we're going to end this on a bit of a moment here. We're going to end it with World's Finest, number 15. Captives of Desaad. Now, Paul Levitz, look, I'm not trying to disrespect you or anything like that, even though it might sound like I am, but oh my god, DC, please get a new writer. Like I said, I haven't seen any solicitations for future issues of this series, so I don't know if you're going to do it yet or not, but Jesus Christ, get a new writer on here. This is such a wasted potential. I mean, this has the potential to be a badass series concerning just two superheroes who, you know, two BFF superheroes who could really kick some ass. And all I get is just after 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 I am really losing my patience here. Now, I'm going to make a promise right here and now. I don't give a shit about the boob window. The boob window's there. Yay, whatever, boobs. Yeah, I love boobs. But that's not why I'm going to stick with the series. I'm going to state it right here and now. And I hope y'all call me out on this. I'm going to give this until issue 20. I'm going to end it at a solid number. If I don't start seeing some improvements by issue 20, if I continue to go through by issue 20, I am done. I am done. I will stop at issue 20 if it continues to be just average or worse. I will not get issue 21 just out of curiosity. No, I am done. Because, wow, this has the potential, like I said, this has potential to be so much better than it is, and it just seems so lazy for DC just to spit out an average read like this. I mean, the story in here wasn't really that great. I mean, Huntress gets captured and Power Girl goes to do the heroic rescue. Like, we haven't seen that kind of storytelling a billion fucking times already. Like, probably the best and most intriguing part of the book was the actual cliffhanger. I'm going to go ahead and spoil it. I don't care. The conclusion, the cliffhanger of this issue is that Power Girl may have lost her powers. Okay, I dig Desaad's look, but it takes more than just a look to make the villain interesting. Because this particular issue, the storytelling just reeked of cliche. It just reeked of it. I've seen this kind of scenario millions of times. This was nothing special. Huntress gets kidnapped, gets herself out a bit, but Power Girl just goes and punches a bunch of shit to go save her. And then they get thrown back into Earth, and then Power Girl makes the realization she may have lost her powers. Yippee! This did nothing for me. It wasn't terrible. There were parts I did like, but like Suicide Squad, this did not impress me. This was average read at best again. And I'm saying it again. Issue 20. If I get to that point and I'm still not impressed, I'm done. I try my best to be patient with this series because I love these characters, but I will drop it if I have to, just to save a few bucks. Well, that's all I got, and I probably rambled on way too much, and I probably ranted way too much. But then again, I've been told by a lot of people they like my rants, so if you liked my rants, you're welcome. I want to thank y'all for watching. Don't forget about my main channel, Blugoblin01, for my Midtown comic stashes. Don't forget about my student, TheMtVernonKid, and also want to give a shout out to all my friends at Dark Avenger Inc. Plus, and also to people like Fat Stack of Comics and Deadpoolzilla and Brandon Hex. I also want to thank my friends and family and my girlfriend out at Arkham Comics. I want to thank y'all for those books. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and until next time, I will see you all later.